Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So tonight we are going to talk about the world's scariest haunted dolls, guys. So let's start. So the first one, guys, is Annabelle. So this is the most famous haunted doll because there is a movie about her. So when The Conjuring introduced Annabelle to mainstream audiences in 2013, it was in the visage of an antique porcelain doll with a pallor and ruby-red, mischievous smile. That was the focus of Ed and Lorraine Warren's most recent case file. The actual Annabelle is far more mundane or ordinary and looks like a Raggedy Ann doll about the size of a 4-year-old child and attached to an inhuman entity. Before she made her big screen debut in James Wan's movie, Annabelle was introduced in Gerald Brittle's 1980 book, The Demonologist, The Extraordinary Career of Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, the movie was based on the true haunted doll. Okay, guys. So, the Warrens' account of Annabelle has it that in 1970, a mother purchased the Raggedy Ann doll from a hobby store as a birthday gift to her adult daughter, Donna Jennings. Jennings, a nurse, lived with fellow nurse Angie Stapleton. Stapleton's fiancé, Lou Carlo, was also a frequent visitor to their modern apartment. The Warrens were allegedly called into the case by Episcopal clergy because the doll had begun to move around the girl's home. At first, Jennings said the doll's position would change while she was away at work, or would appear to be standing or kneeling on its own. Stapleton said the doll would change rooms while they were gone, and then handwritten notes in parchment began to appear with writing that looked like a child saying, "Help us," or "Help Lou." The trio told the paranormal investigators they didn't own a pencil and didn't have parchment around. One night, they discovered blood on the doll's hand and chest, and even, weirdly, a piece of chocolate seemed to appear. So the name Annabelle Higgins was introduced by a medium. The nurses consulted. So the nurses consulted a medium, and then it said that there was the name of that entity is Annabelle Higgins. The medium claimed Annabelle was the spirit of a 7-year-old girl who had lived in happier times when the apartments were still fields. So the girl only wanted love, said the medium, and requested permission to stay with the women and to enter the doll, which they granted, much to Ed Warren's dismay. So, the activity increased over the course of a year, culminating with Lou having a dream about the doll floating over him, hands on his neck, strangling him. On another occasion, he heard sounds in Donna's room and went to investigate, encountering the doll on the floor while something attacked him from behind, leaving 7 bloody claw marks, which they said was a symbolic mark of the beast. So, the Warrens said they determined an inhuman spirit was manipulating the doll, as opposed to possessing it, and the recognition it received from the roommates empowered it as it looked for a human host. From enlisting Father Cookie of the Episcopal Church, the apartment was exorcised and the Warrens ended up with a doll. The celebrity ghost hunter said they believed a vicious hatred tried to run them off the roof as they transported the doll home. Despite building a special case to contain Annabelle at their occult museum, they claimed a Catholic priest's life was endangered and a young man killed on his motorcycle shortly after they challenged the doll. Also, the doll supposedly arrived at the museum with a spectral black cat that would stalk Ed's office and dematerialize by the doll's side. Currently, the Warren's Occult Museum is closed after Lorraine's recently passed away. As with each of these dolls, the story should be treated with healthy skepticism, considering the lack of corroboration. However, Annabelle is the most famous, allegedly real haunted doll, and her tale continued in the year's third standalone Annabelle movie. So that, guys, this is the most famous haunted doll, guys. So the next one, guys, is Okiku. So Okiku said this is the doll from Japan. As the story goes, Okiku was purchased by a young man sometime around 1918 in Japan as a gift for his younger sister. Tragically, after a year, the little girl passed away from a severe case of the flu. The family created a shrine in her memory, placing the large doll on display. Sometime later, they noticed that the doll's hair, which had originally been cut in a short bob, had grown past its shoulders. When the family moved in 1938, they entrusted the doll to the care of the Menenji Temple in Hokkaido, where caretakers continue to maintain Okiku and her ever-growing hair. So guys, they said that the doll's hair grows. So this is also the second one, guys. So guys, the second haunted doll is Lily. Lily, guys. So guys, Lily is said to be now residing at Jack Bagan's of Ghost Adventures Haunted Museum. Lily was made during the 1800s in Germany and features real human hair. So according to the museum's Facebook post, she was discovered by an antique dealer who took her home but began having recurring nightmares about a little girl by a very bad accident. She was subsequently put up for sale at the antique shop. On one occasion, a customer's little girl spoke to the doll for 3 hours, interacting with her like a fellow child. She informed the proprietor that Lily was a little girl that had been subjected to extreme violence. When first encountering the doll, Bagans reported that he felt an immense energy radiating from the figurine. So let's go to the next doll, guys. So the next one, guys, is Robert. So Robert the doll. So they say before Annabelle made her big screen debut in The Conjuring, Robert was the most famous doll out there. So the doll looked almost more simian than human. Okay, with black beady eyes, tiny distress cuts on his face, a peculiar grin, and wearing a little sailor outfit, likely originally worn by his owner, Robert Eugene Otto of Key West, Florida. Robert the doll's story goes back to 1904 when the real Robert, a boy who went by Jean, acquired it from his grandfather, who had recently returned from a trip to Germany. Manufactured by the Steve Company, which made the first teddy bear, the wood wool stuffed life-size doll was possibly intended as more of a display mannequin, though some said the maid to the Otto family gave Jean the doll imbued in voodoo magic. So Robert was a constant companion for Jean, and it was accused by the boy of various misdeeds and mysterious movements by the boy. Toys might be mutilated, furniture overturned, and eerie giggles might be heard throughout the Otto home. And Jean always placed the blame on Robert. So this was the little boy. So as he grew older, Jean became an artist, and his inherited home was known as the artist house. There, Robert would be perched in a window on the second floor turret room, where people claimed he may change positions. So after Jean died in 1974, Myrtle Ritter purchased the home, and Robert came with it. She said the doll would move on its own, giggle, and change expression should anyone disparage Jean. Okay. In 1984, Ritter donated the doll to the Fort Is Martello Museum, the gallery of which was designed with Jean. Even before Robert became an attraction, he began attracting visitors who had heard of him. Kept in a glass display case, Robert lives at the museum, still where people claim to be cursed by him should they insult him or take his photo without asking for permission. So the doll is also credited for interfering with the electronic devices. So the doll is thus a bit of a celebrity, receiving about 3 letters a day that range from apologies for bad behavior toward him, as well as letters asking for advice. Robert is said to be a fan of sweets as well. And some people send candy. So some people send candy to the doll. Okay? Interestingly, Robert the doll sits with his own doll. So Robert also has a doll. A dog with a gaping mouth that resembles that this is fine meme. Whether Robert is cursed by a voodoo or somehow inhabits the energies of his former owner and lifelong friend, or even if he's just an old doll with a creepy story, you can find out for yourself by visiting him at the Fort Is Martello Museum. Gosh, just err on the side of caution and be polite to him, because they said that he can give bad luck. So they say that. So guys, the next one is Ruby, the haunted doll. So let's look at Ruby. So they said that, guys, Dana and Greg Neuker's Traveling Museum of the Paranormal, and Occult have an extensive collection of supposedly haunted and definitely creepy objects worth seeing. So among them is Ruby the Haunted Doll, a porcelain, paint, and fabric doll from the early 1900s that originated in southern Ontario. According to the museum's description, Ruby spent decades in attics and basements, as she was passed along by people who wanted nothing to do with her. So, the Newkirks report that previous owners came to believe she is still the possession of a young girl who died while holding the doll. Like the other dolls listed here, Ruby is said to be able to move on her own, but what makes her especially interesting is the feeling of sadness or nausea that overcomes anyone who holds her. The Para Museum's Ruby exhibits is not necessarily threatening or evil as associated with other dolls on this list, but if you do get to check out the Traveling Museum, you can say hello to Ruby before hanging out with the famous idol of nightmares, Billy. That's it for tonight, guys, and then see you again next time. Thank you so much guys for watching, and if you are new, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye for now.